We're in the jungles in Africa, off the Ivory Coast. There's another dumpster lurking. Yes, yet another dumpster appearing. Called on by the great toxic dumpster of Debbie Daly. Yes, it happens. It certainly happens. She was called out of the jungle in a very dark mine. Fetal alcohol syndrome mine. It's another person on the short bus. Yes! That surrounds the great toxic dumpster. The dumpster known as Debbie Daly. Let me introduce you to Dumpster India. Yes. We have somebody that's hailing from the west coast of Africa, the Ivory Coast. Yeah, she's a white woman, where she is a professional victim. Now, you may have thought that Debbie Dumpster, that type of dumpster, was a professional victim. But she's more of a mean person, very toxic. We're going to talk about a professional victim known as India. Many different ways. She's publicly known as a nomad and noetic nomad. I forget how she terms herself. I'll be happy to put it in the credits. And since she uses the name on her show as the same name as our blog, I'll be happy to direct you to her open letter to this missionary boarding school. Now, I've known this dumpster for quite some time, and maybe this is more of a reflection on me than it is her. That somehow I have these people in my life, and they're very charming, very sweet, very compliant. I mean, Debbie was like that in the beginning. They're all charming. All dumpsters are charming in the beginning. But do not let them fool you. Now, one thing in common with these two dumpsters is that the people that have been in their life for an extended amount of time would call them liars. Don't trust her. She'll turn on you. She was kicked out of a building. She was kicked out of many homeschool groups. That's what I heard about India Dumpster, but no, I was willing to believe the best about a person. I'm starting to think it's my downfall. I mean, I believe that as well. I believe the best about her. And I honestly am praying for Debbie because I think the coming few days are going to be difficult at best. Goofy Bone is doing a show right now. He's playing a lot of audio. I don't have to worry about Debbie Dumpster. The truth is known. But now I see this one rearing her ugly head. And she is part of the texting conspiracy. She is one of the ones that, I don't know if Debbie contacted her or she contacted Debbie. Well, nevertheless, they found each other. However it happened, it doesn't matter. And India knows the history of Debbie Daly. All the problems I've had with this woman. How she called my daughter. How she's done this and that. And, done horrible things to me on the internet. She knows this woman. Yet she entertained her for a week that I know of. And because these women are both liars, it's kind of hard to know what is true and what is not. That is a hallmark of a dumpster. They lie. They misrepresent the truth. And you'll have a lot of people coming to you saying very negative things about this person. Usually from many sources. One or two I can understand, that they're bitter, that they're hurting. I could understand that. But the amount of attacks that a dumpster gets, it is obscene. And I really don't think two wrongs make a right. But I think the truth needs to be out there. Because at this time, unless Debbie's using India Baker's name, she's putting out texts to people that neither one of them know. They do not know these people. I mean, my God, the things that they're saying. That my ex-fiancé is a rapist. That is not true. Shame on you, India. Shame on you, Debbie. Whichever one of you two did this. And just, it's sad. It's sad. At one time you were better than this, India. You allowed your children, India, to curse me on my homeschool Facebook page. I do not understand why you would take this tactic, why you would allow your children to do your dirty work. It's sick. Is that how you got all my friends on Facebook? Is that what Debbie asked you to do? See, I don't know these answers because we don't talk anymore. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I don't involve myself in your personal life. For the record, I am writing a book. This is true. I have not made it public that I am basing one of the characters on you. If you want to push me to that point, I certainly will. The character is of a polyamorous woman who's married to one husband and has another man living with her as a husband as well. I've changed the names, the areas. There was no need for her to be concerned that I would out her in public. As a matter of fact, she would be due monies because I based the character off of her. She's got such a full play. If you read her blog, and I'll put it in the comments, and if you want to believe her, go ahead and believe her. But I'll tell you, the tale that she tells in that story is not the tale she told me. The only thing that is true, in my opinion, in her blog is when she talks about an exorcism that they did on her. And I remember her telling me that a teacher thought she was a lesbian, and they wanted to get those demons out of her. Now, I can understand how this would mess a young child up. She wasn't wanted by her biological family. And in essence, she wasn't wanted by her adopted family because they put her in a boarding school. That's her interpretation. But nowhere did I read or hear from her that her adopted parents were abusive. At times they did not have time for her. I do not count that as abuse. I count that as parents doing the best they could at that time. And she makes it sound so horrific. So horrific. I've asked her point blank, and honestly, we were quite frank with each other. Very frank. I told her personal things. Very personal things. I've never lived with a man. This is true. She's lived with 2 men at the same time. I never once outed her to the homeschooling groups. Because I thought, in my mind, in my view, that it wasn't my place to judge her. And it's not. And India, if you're listening, I'm still not judging you. As I said to you before, that I thought if anybody was going to, quote unquote, deal with you, it would be God. And God would do a much better job of it than I. If he didn't want that for your life, he would tell you. And he most certainly did. And we had many discussions about that. And I listened for hours. I listened for hours as you said, I'm a single parent. You were married. Not just married, you had 2 freaking husbands. You had people to talk to. I'm a true single parent. A true single parent. I am floored at what you have done. How you've allowed your children to treat me. And all the homeschooling community saw all the cursing. I left it up. It's hideous at best. And it's embarrassing. I get an email from someone that you've been speaking with. She's blackmailing me, using you to blackmail me. What the hell? Of all my Facebook friends that Debbie has contacted, no one bit except for you. Maybe there really is something wrong with your mind. I'm starting to believe there is. I don't know that much about fetal alcohol syndrome, but maybe I need to look it up. I know you had a hard time learning through life, and I commend you for the progress you have made. That you claim to be a Messianic Jewish woman, believing that Jesus is the Messiah. Now, I have questions on if he's really the complete Messiah. There's still two things that he has to do to be the complete Messiah. But my goodness, woman, where do you get off? And at this time, I don't know if it was you or if it was Debbie using your name. But your name was used. And you sent this email to my ex-fiance's daughter-in-law. Are you crazy? You do not know the woman. Well, you had to do some serious hacking to get her phone number. I don't have her cell phone number. I've never had a need for it. And what happened to my body is none of your damn business. Especially to put out there to someone you do not know. I was not raped by him. They didn't even give it a second thought, by the way. They thought you were some crazy woman. And I guess you are. You are crazy. You are victim possessed. Maybe you need another exorcism to expel the spirit of victimization out of you. You're trying to get on Dr. Phil? That's nuts. That is fucking nuts. I was listening to everything. It's crazy. That's cool. I'm going to see if I can play your show, which I can right now, for 11 more minutes. I don't know if they can hear your voice. I have no idea. Let me fix my headset here. We'll get this done. It's called Abuse Advocacy. When it hurts to talk, my mouth is very dry right now. The Noetic Nomad. Oh yeah, unfortunate.
Adults who have experienced child abuse matters.
Wah, 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 wah.
Hear people speaking out for the children. This is what the children need. This is what their parental support.
Jesus Christ,
They
bitch.
need to be heard. For me, as an adult survivor of child abuse, it is important to share the experiences.
Wah, 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 wah. This is not true what she's saying, all this shit.
If somebody did something to us, listen to it, or the person was exaggerated. And in my case, as an adoptee, this adoptee was
I don't know if this is...
that I just needed to relax, to let God work in me, and if I prayed hard enough, that the things that I was experiencing would go away. And this was not helpful, much less healthy for my recovery, much less my just growing as an individual. People would, my parents would tell me.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I just can't stand to hear her voice right now. She embellished her story. I mean, this much is true. And I listened to years of her talking about this fucking boarding school. And perhaps some bad things did happen there. She never complained of sexual abuse. She's complaining of it now. She never complained of sexual abuse from adopted parents or her biological. She's complaining of it now. She never complained of physical abuse from any of these entities other than the exorcism, and that she did not have the money that her parents sent to her. She did say that she was a very shy teenager. I just want to expose this. This is not true. And I believe that there was definite abuse that happened at this boarding school. It was shut down. And she and I used to be close friends. And, oh my Lord, this woman, it's her and this other host on Spreaker. They're in cahoots. One says that they were contacted. The other person said that they were contacted. They're both liars. They found each other. That's all that's important. And I've had people in my life that have had mental problems. I've had a friend that had, it's called DID, but it's formerly known as multiple personality disorder. I've helped her through, gosh, it's been almost 30 years that I've known her. I mean, from teenagehood, I've known her. I'm in my mid-40s. This woman I've known for 8 years. And she's not all there. And Indy, if you're listening, bless your heart, what you're doing is just out and out wrong. It is wrong. It's wrong to encourage your children to curse out an adult. Go look at my homeschool page. I had put the email that you're mentioned in, by the way. That I didn't mention you. Someone else did. And I had to make it public. I have a police report on that email. Your children cursed me out. Cursed. On my page. On my wall. And they could not tell me what to put on my wall or what not to put on my wall. Your children are spoiled. They think they run the house. Honestly, they do. Your son's a bully. He has hurt other children. They're not filthy minded like your children. That your children have been exposed to a lifestyle that my children could never dream of. To have 2 dads in the house? I mean, come on. What is your problem? Let me go to my counsel. Anyway, I know some people are listening. And so I want to introduce you to, she's known as let me pull it back up. The Noetic Nomad. Noetic. 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 I guess it's a pagan thing. I don't know, nomad. Noeticnomad. You know, I have a memory. I'm not the only one you've told this to. I mean, Grandma Marilyn of homeschooling knows your dealings. And everybody respects her. You know, it's a shame it's come to this. You know, I never planned to name the character India in the book. Never planned to. But is the character based on you? Bet your ass it is. I mean, I've never known anybody to church hop like you. I mean, one day you're a pagan. The next day you're going to this full gospel church. You get baptized. You get in some spats with the women there. They find out who you really are. So you run to another church. They find out who you really are. And you even ran to my church. You only made it one service there. One service. That's it. You know, I have people that can speak on you too. And I think it's a lot more damaging what they have to say. And truth. I think it is. You know, it's unfortunate, the demise of your house in Tulsa. I'm sorry for your financial loss. I offered to help you. I gave you wise counsel. You refused it, which is fine. You know, a short sale is not the way to go ever. And that's your downfall. So, you know, I just can't believe it's come to this. I don't know how you met her or how she met you. It really doesn't matter. You're two toxic dumpsters. And this professional victimization that you're going through? Oh, my Lord. Oh, my Lord. Well, you can tell by my voice, oh, I'm tired. I've been to PE, by the way, that homeschool class that you tried to lord over. You know, people know me. And they know my fruits. They don't see me hopping around like you have. How you have hopped from church to church. And then I think it's hysterical. I mean, how horrible for that child to think that her grandfather is a rapist. And you always get things wrong. Always. So you're spreading lies. Your actions are vile. You're a professional victim. That's what you're playing. Just so you can get on the Dr. Phil show. I mean, come on already. You never said the abuse was that bad. And I fully confronted you on that because I wanted you to get help. Because I thought you needed help. But no, you made me assured that it wasn't worse than what it was. I knew your mother ignored you, but you always made the excuse that she's a very busy missionary. But I'm sure she loves you. Okay. So, I don't know how much was cut out. But I will say this. Your actions speak loudly. I would never hurt someone I never knew. I would never risk a child reading that text message which they did. You're such a fucking liar. So all you want to do is cause havoc on the truth that you think needs to be known. And you don't even know what the truth is, bitch. You don't even know. You can't get your memory correct. You know, had I been raped by him, I would have gone to the police. Because I've been raped before. And I've gone to the police. You know, and maybe that's not you. Maybe it's Debbie using your name. And for that, I would apologize for. I wouldn't have a problem apologizing. But I think you're twisted. I think the actions of your children are twisted. On my public Facebook homeschooling page, I mean, Sarah Dwayne cursed me out over and over. Like it was nothing. Maybe that's the type of child you want to raise. I don't know. You know, because we really haven't been on the same track for some time. And you've gone through a number of changes. You're off your medication. You're suddenly a Reiki master. I think you're going back to your pagan influences, which is fine. It's all good. Now, if you want to expose the truth about me, maybe you should let me know, because I'm definitely going to expose the truth. And I'm not going to be the son of a bitch. I'm going to let you be the son of a bitch. Because they never win to India. That never wins. That ugliness. That is why you've been kicked out of a lot of homeschool groups. That is why you're not allowed to visit some buildings. Because you were so disruptive. Yelling and screaming. Having a public meltdown in public. That they would not allow you to even come back to community center. You know, I really need to pray for you. Because I think you're in a hurting condition. I believe you're in a hurting condition. And when before, I never judged you on having two husbands. And bless their hearts, they don't remember how bad it was back then. Especially your daughter. Your daughter was like 8 or 9, was oblivious. I mean, I would think it's odd that my mother was kissing someone other than her husband in my presence, which you did on many occasions. You would sleep in his bed with him. I mean, how could they not think that that was strange? Or maybe they thought that was normal. And that's okay. You know, that's just not the type of life I choose to live. You could say anything you want about me. I wrote a script on cam workers and the people that watch them. And I did camming myself with my clothes on so I could have an open discussion, an open dialogue with the people watching these young women. Life is about relationships, and you seem to destroy so many of the relationships you've been in, except for Tammy. And oh wait, isn't she the dominatrix? Oh yes, that's right. The people you choose to have core relationships with are hurting people. And maybe that's what attracts you to people. You know, I've had my issues in life. I just don't get why you're behaving this way. That's not a loving, kind way to treat people. Anything I've said has been to your face or in private message. You just don't know how to do that. And then you say, oh, you're lying. That's not true. I didn't say that. I watched you. I watched you live this lifestyle. I saw you have your little writer friends over, and they were in open relationships. They were swingers, something I wasn't comfortable with, by the way. But I never let you know, because I had no wish to offend you. I mean, maybe you should have been with your mother more. Maybe she could have taught you some lessons on how to treat people. Maybe she's right for not wanting you. And I'm starting to think that may be the case. Some people are too far damaged. But I think it's remarkable that you received such a good education in spite of your fetal alcohol syndrome. which has affected you for the majority of your life. I mean, you can look at your face and tell fetal alcohol. You have those traits, those physical traits. I'm appalled at you. I'm shocked. This is my last show before the new terms of service come in. And I can critique your show, which was scandalous. And you said you came upon Spreaker through an unfortunate series of events. Maybe you learned that Debbie Daly isn't who she said she is. Maybe you learned. I hope you didn't learn it the hard way. But maybe that email was the hard way. Because everyone in the homeschool community saw the slanderous, the blackmail that was in there, and the physical threats. And you were a part of that. You were a part of that. How does that make you feel? You won't see any emails like that from me. Will I let you know what I'm doing? Hell yeah. I don't have a problem with that. So I'm still working on that book. I think the themes are going to change, and maybe it'll be a woman going through self-discovery as she goes through different phases of her life. I took notes, India. I took notes. I write a lot. I remember your first writing. It was about a airport and a dad leaving his child at the airport to go to a school. It was so self-absorbed. No one could relate to what you were going through. No one. I just smiled. I said it was a good try. It was a good try. I'm glad you tried to put this down on paper. And I was, because I think it's good. It's healing to write. It's cathartic. But this teaming up with Debbie Daly, India, you have no idea what you're getting into. I hope you have realized your mistake and have pulled back. I hope you have. Because, I mean, she really is psychotic. She will stalk you. There's no end at what she does. No end. And if you do not do as she wills, then you'll get an email just like I did. I've gotten a lot of emails like that. So, anyway, it's late. I gotta get up early. So we're celebrating a birthday today. I won't say whose. We're definitely celebrating a birthday. And you made it so much better, India, seeing your ugly words. And that's not the best blog. Oh my gosh. Victim, victim, victim. You know, you ought to stick with just selling stuff. I mean, it's pathetic, but it's understandable. You need to make a buck. Because you're addicted to buying books. Just like I'm addicted to books. So, I wish you the best. I hope that God still takes very good care of you. And I believe He will. And He'll be with you through your walk through all this. But make no mistake, I am not your enemy. I think you are your own enemy. It's very much true. Because all these actions you have done will only come back to haunt you. And I have not done what you've done. I have not done what Debbie has done. So, and I have every right to aggressively defend myself after the stuff you've done behind the scenes that no one ever sees. A child saw that text message. Do you think that family's very happy? No, they're not. They had to explain how sick you were. And you are sick. You are very sick. I don't know what to say to you at this point. I'm shocked. I'm appalled. You know, I could read off a whole bunch of verses. But at this point, I don't think you'll hear the verses because I think you stopped hearing God. I don't think you can hear him anymore. I'll pray for the time that you can hear him. But it's horrible what you've done. To harm a child. Which you did. And I don't even know the other text messages that you sent out. I've had a lot of people asking me strange questions. So I assume that you sent out a whole bunch of stuff. I'll stand corrected if you correct me. But I'm starting to ask around and not really wanting to ask, because who wants to hear that some crazy woman is talking crap about them? You're sick? And the things that you said about my eldest daughter, you need to stop. I do know what you've done. You're putting my daughter in a very dangerous situation. All right, folks. This has been an edition of dumpster tactics and how to handle these people. Hopefully they'll leave Spreaker. They won't be allowed to stay on Spreaker. Hopefully. All right, then. I thank you. And I do know this India Baker of Noetic. Let's go over that again. Noetic, nomad. Is it Notic? Yeah, it might be Notic. I wonder what Notic means. Let's look that up real quick. It's usually a bunch of ramblings. It's metaphysical philosophy, concerned with the study of the mind and intellect. That sounds really Christian. Which she professes to be. Yeah, I think she's going backwards again. Must be going backwards. So much for her kids. That's another thing. I remember your son crying because he had no future. Do you remember in the middle of the snowstorm? I was so embarrassed for you. So completely embarrassed. It's pathetic. I hope he gets to join the army, somebody that will teach him a trade. Because making leather purses isn't going to get him anywhere. Nowhere at all. Now if he did, if he worked with leather in a car, like for car seats, I could see him making a decent living. Maybe that's what you're thinking. I don't know. But I understand. I do. So Gnosticism. Wow. Kudos. Well, this is going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy our exchange of thought. I know at first you're going to ignore me. And that's okay. It's a good ploy, by the way. Try to ignore me. But I'm going to clear the rumors that you've started in the homeschool community. I'm going to clear them up. Have a nice day, India. And enjoy your blog from now on. I'm sure it's going to be interesting. Let's see what else she has to say on this blog. Oh, she talks about Guinea all the time.
West of Conakry, which is the capital city, northwest of it.
She talks like Africa, like she can make love to it.
A site where the Christian Missionary Alliance denomination, that church had a boarding school there.
Ah, there's the famous boarding school.
Children of missionary kids, and at that point in time, it was the policy for as long as really that I can remember, that at the age of 5 or 6, whenever a child was ready to enter first grade, that they would be packed and shipped off to boarding school until they graduated. It's generally the custom amongst missionaries that if you are a long-term missionary, you'll spend 4 years
Oh, Jesus.
in a designated location.
It's just too pathetic. It is a requirement for the employees of this said missionary field to send their children to missionary school. And I do think 5 and 6 is a bit young to do that. But that was the parents' choice at the time. That was their choice to work for the company and then to abide by their rules and regulations. I mean, it's pathetic, really. I think it is. Oh, that's so loud. Oh, now I see why. That's better. So, and she loves barns. She used to live in a barn with her eldest son and her ex-husband. The barn had horses in it. Yeah, this is the type of living that she felt comfortable with. She would go get fresh water, I guess, like she did in Africa. It's kind of crazy. So, and her children are ill-educated, I will say that. You know, doing video games, acting like you can design a building or build a video game just because it's based on a rectangle or tile will not get you far in college. It won't even get you in the door. How about taking the ACTs? Failure is coming. Failure is coming. So this is a little bit tongue-in-cheek to her. But I hope you get the message, bitch. I really do. You're low. And you're very much like Debbie. Very much like her. It's not a big surprise that when she searched for people to bite, that you would bite. It's not a big surprise. I'm going to continue to talk about my book and let them know that it's based on a real person. And everybody in the homeschooling community will know who that real person is. You know, because if you're going to act this way, you know, I was going to be nice and not say your name in public, but you leave me no choice. You leave me no choice. Because, you know I love to write. I love to write. I do. Sometimes I do well, and sometimes, oh, it's hideous. But that's the way it works. Oh, So I wonder how many husbands you have now. How many? Do they come over and stay the night now? Do you go over there and spend the night? How does it work? Before you had 2 bedrooms for them. And you would go between. Chris. Lael. But